morning, and thank you for taking the time to be here today. Not 2 weeks ago, I had the privilege of attending a preview up here, the new exhibition at the Wexner Center for the Arts. As part of the exhibition, one of the artists is presenting a collaboration between the Wex and Thompson Library, titled "When an Object Reaches for Your Hand." She used a handheld scanner with shallow depths to create ethereal images of domestic objects and items from the Ohio State collections. These images are presented in book-form stacks, both in the Wexner Center Gallery, as well as in the windows of the book stacks at Thompson Library. As you may have guessed, the artist is our own Anne Hamilton, distinguished university professor in the Department of Art. As part of her artist talk, Anne mentioned the path between Thompson and the Wex as an inspiration for this project. She described these facilities as two houses anchoring either side of the oval. One, the Wex, being a house of images, and the other, the library, being a house of words. While serving different purposes, both are designed as social places for the intersection of disciplines and people, creating the conditions where rich conversations can happen. A house of images at one end, a house of words at the other. Anne's idea has kept me thinking over the past 10 days. What other houses do we find when we walk the oval in different directions? What are the other spaces and areas of focus or discovery that create conversations here? But before we pursue that idea further, let me say a few words about my own journey into this space, about the values and orientations that guide my work, and suggest some ideas about our collective path forward. When I assumed the position of Executive Dean of the College of Arts and Sciences 2 months ago, I felt hopeful and committed. What I saw coming in was a college that has been through some challenges, but one with a rich history, as well as talented faculty, staff, and students. Within the context of the larger university, I saw an institution that has been smart and strategic in many key respects, one that has a sense of momentum among public flagship universities. I also saw a university that has great advantages based on location. Columbus is a growing city with the advantages of diversity, both in its people and its economy. Diversity is a great strength and one of the reasons that many national companies are headquartered here. It is also why they are eager to partner with the university. There is a vibrant arts community in Columbus as well, a community that is already deeply connected to the university. And now, with the launch of the Arts District, there is momentum to accelerate those ties to the benefit of the campus, the city, and the state. Columbus is also, of course, the home of state government, which provides a conduit for reaching people across Ohio in areas as broad-ranging as health, education, environmental issues, and economic mobility. And partnering with the state, the university can contribute to efforts designed to improve lives for the people of Ohio. I have spent much of my time over these past few weeks meeting with individual faculty. To date, I've met with 90 faculty members, usually in their offices. I have also spent time with some of our talented staff, both individually and in larger groups. These visits have been enormously beneficial to me. For those of you who have welcomed me into your offices and have fed me with tea, stories, and great ideas, let me thank you for taking the time to help me learn and partner with you. These visits have given me a sense of where there are opportunities to build on, where there are challenges that impede our work, and what the shared values are that can guide our collective endeavor. Many of you have shared with me your frustrations and disappointments, your hopes and good ideas, and your willingness to partner in order to create a better future for our college. I come away from these conversations inevitably happy, mindful of the work that needs to be done, but deeply, deeply encouraged about our prospects for building to higher levels of excellence and impact in all of our efforts. Which brings me to values, and particularly to the values and orientation that guide my work as dean, and will also, I hope, inform our collective enterprise as a college. Let me begin with gratitude. I hope you will join with me in offering our appreciation to our colleague, Jan Bach-Steffensmeyer, who led the college for 13 months as interim executive dean. Jan's passion and optimism for the arts and sciences is infectious. The sense of integrity that she brings to her work as an academic leader is striking and clear. Her deep, unwavering commitment to excellence in education and research feels rich and substantial. This is one of the reasons, no doubt, that she was recently elected president of the American Political Science Association, an extraordinary honor. More personally, I can tell you that she has been nothing but generous and supportive to me throughout my transition to the university. Jan is an inspiration to me. I hope you will join me in thanking her for her leadership and service to the college. In thinking about the values that guide me in this role, I focus first on our mission. Our collective purpose lies in education, research, and creative inquiry. To that end, I am guided every day by an awareness that we are all here for our students and our faculty. And I want to say that again so it sinks in. We are all here for our students and our faculty. You know, one of the greatest contributions that we make to the world is to develop the talents and the ambitions of our smart, creative students, equipping our students to become intelligent, caring physicians, daring artists and playwrights, informed and engaged global citizens, social entrepreneurs, and innovative scientists is an investment in our collective human future. For me, it's a privilege to do this work. Yet the students come and go after a few years, off to make their contribution to the broader world. It's the faculty who endure, who set the tone and direction for the college over the longer term. Faculty are at the core of our collective enterprise. Your excellence is our strength. When I think about the characteristics of colleges and universities that I admire, I notice that they are places that recruit the best faculty. They provide them with a supportive, collaborative, and nurturing environment. And they hold them to high expectations regarding their contributions as teachers, artists, and researchers. They are places that understand that the faculty are our best source of creative and innovative ideas. They know that the faculty are the ones who can lead us in moving the university forward. We are fortunate as well to have a talented and committed staff, the folks whose expertise and efforts keep our departments, centers, labs, and studios moving forward. How lucky are we that many of our staff colleagues have made a deliberate career choice to work in higher education in order to support students and advance research and creative work. To the staff, let me say that I know there has been a lot of leadership transitions in recent years and organizational challenges to navigate. And I know we're not done with those challenges. With the HR reorganization and the impending implementations of Workday and the career roadmap, there's more change ahead. I'm hopeful that these changes will not only help us to better serve our faculty and students, but will also provide clearer career pathways to our talented staff members. Thank you for your commitment and your efforts on behalf of the college. Faculty, when you leave here today, in the weeks and months ahead, please take time to recognize and appreciate our experienced and dedicated staff members. I value as well the opportunity to advance a College of Arts and Sciences at a leading public land-grant university. As many of you know, I came here from Cornell, another land-grant school with a strong commitment to excellence in public service. As the land-grant institution of Ohio, we are charged with improving lives through teaching, creative inquiry, and public service. We do that every day through astronomy classes that open up the imaginations of our students, encouraging them to consider a career in science, or through historical or literary research that fosters empathy by allowing us to connect with people in other times and places, or through an outreach effort led by a scholar with a joint appointment in geography and public health that helps us to understand and address the impact of the opioid crisis on local Ohio communities. The values of discovery, education, and engagement bind us not only within the college, but beyond the college, within the broader university, and beyond the university to the people of the state. It is no accident that the most successful public land-grant institutions contain at their core a vibrant college of arts and sciences that serves as a crucible for collaborative, interdisciplinary exploration. One of the great advantages of a College of Arts and Sciences lies in our ability to foster critical perspectives, innovation, and new ways of thinking by exposing both faculty and students to a range of intellectual perspectives and orientations, asking people to imagine the world through these various lenses, artistic, social, scientific, and human, can challenge and illuminate who we are and the place we inhabit in fresh and provocative ways. When connections are made among our various houses, the houses of images and words, of stars and ice, of plants and water, we help to fulfill the mission implicit in the Moral Act of fostering an engaged and critical citizenry, equipped with the knowledge necessary to enact democratic accountability and advance the general welfare through environmental stewardship, scientific discovery, and economic innovation. Our colleagues do the work of fostering engaged citizenship every day. The Center for Ethics and Human Values brings scholars together to pursue research, teaching, and public discussion on moral questions facing our society. Its current Conversations on Morality, Politics, and Society, or COMPAS, is asking a series of uncomfortable but timely questions. What is America? What does America stand for? Who is an American? More than ever, we need a place like this to intentionally foster respectful disagreement through thoughtful, engaged, and informed dialogue. At our top-ranked School of Communication, researchers are tracing the nature and prevalence of stereotypes about immigrants in various American media sources. They also teach courses on things like principles of civic journalism and the social implications of communication technology. The Byrd Polar and Climate Research Center is conducting incredibly important research on glacial loss. And through their outreach and education work, they are developing a computer app that will help students to visualize and explore the Earth's diverse glacial systems. I was also inspired by a recent essay in Time magazine titled "How Understanding the History of Earth's Climate Can Offer Hope Amid Crisis." In this piece, John Brooke of History, Michael Beavis of Earth Sciences, and Steve Reising of EEOB demonstrate that taking a deep historical view on climate change can help us to understand the true scope and scale of the problem, while offering hope that it's not too late to mitigate this crisis if we take immediate action. In converging their collective expertise in history, geophysics, and biology, these colleagues together teach a general education course on climate change for our undergraduates. Even beyond the value of citizenship, we can unequivocally tell people that an arts and sciences education is a great path for our students to follow. We nurture flexible thinkers who can think creatively, communicate and collaborate in diverse contexts, and lead in imagining and realizing new businesses and nonprofits. If you look 10 years out at an arts and sciences graduate, they are the most successful, the most entrepreneurial, and of course, the most engaged citizens. We are also mindful of our roles as champions for inclusive excellence. A focus on diversity, equity, and inclusion is more than simply the right thing to do. It is critical to our success as educators and creators of new knowledge. It also reflects who we are and our values as faculty, students, and staff. Take, for example, the Polaris Mentorship Program in Physics and Astronomy. A group of our graduate students were troubled by the low percentage of underrepresented minority and women undergraduates in those departments. These graduate students took it upon themselves to build a mentoring program to provide a supportive community of self-efficacy and a sense of belonging and purpose for these undergraduate students during their early years at Ohio State. This program, still student-run, is now supported at both the department and the college level, representing a shared commitment to this important work. Additionally, searches are currently underway for 3 cluster hires in communication, political science, and sociology in the area of race, gender, and ethnicity to grow our scholarship and leadership in this space. Under the leadership of Associate Dean Wendy Smooth, we are assisting faculty in mentoring and providing professional development opportunities to our underrepresented graduate students. We have also launched our new interdisciplinary certificate in diversity, equity, and inclusion, open not only to Ohio State students, but to anyone with a bachelor's degree, to equip students with the skills they'll need to thrive in the diverse workplace of today. While we have a great story to tell and great outcomes to share, we must not remain standing still. Our success depends on our willingness to evolve and adapt to a rapidly changing landscape. As you know, there are still budget pressures that the college is facing. While the market forces affecting us are not unique for an arts and sciences college, they have been felt here, particularly through reductions in faculty and staff hires, graduate assistantships, and other spending commitments. Because of that hard work, and because of recent investment by the Office of Academic Affairs, we are moving in a more stable direction regarding the current budget, as you can see here. However, the challenges that we face are not going to simply go away. Enrollment in arts and sciences has been relatively flat for the last few years, and at the same time, we've seen a decline in the total credit hours generated. It's a decline both in real terms and it's a decline in our market share of the credit hours at the university as a whole. Our first-year students are increasingly coming to Ohio State with more credit hours achieved through College Credit Plus and through AP testing. There are other challenges as well. They have to do with the availability of external funding, lower levels of public confidence in some of the pathways represented in the college, and the overall structure of the university's budget and state support mechanisms. This is our context. What this all means is that if we do nothing else to help ourselves, we are likely to continue to have downward pressure. The college will likely get smaller. And if we do only a few things, we'll continue to have a budget about where it is now. But we can and should do better. This is if we do nothing, we go in the red. Okay? If we do a few things, we'll stay even. What I'm proposing is we've got to do more. If we are creative, on the same page, and proactive, we can achieve an upward trajectory for the college. That path is only available to us if we work together as one whole college that is willing to partner internally and externally. To do this, we must get beyond the divisional orientation and be willing to engage in efforts that align with our mission and values while increasing our revenue base. These challenges are real and significant, but I believe we can be successful in addressing them on positive terms. Let me turn then to suggesting where there are opportunities to not just stabilize, but advance the college. Think back to the house of images and the house of words. What other houses do we find if we walk the oval in different directions? We have a house of bones. The Orton Geological Museum, of course, has been home to a fossil cast, Cryolophosaurus elioti, I call him Ellie for short, for about a year now, sparking the imaginations of visitors of all ages. We have a house of plants. The Biological Sciences greenhouse, sitting atop the 12th Avenue parking garage, provides living plant, insect, and arthropod specimens to enhance the exploration of students and researchers on and beyond the campus. We have houses of languages. We offer almost 30 languages throughout various departments, many of which are based in Haggerty Hall, a thriving hub of the humanities. We have a house of lasers. The physics department's Scarlet Laser facility uses a high-intensity short pulse laser to conduct cutting-edge research in laser plasma interactions. We have a house of fire. Our Department of Art operates one of the most comprehensive glass facilities in the country and teaches our students the art of glass blowing, glass casting, and more. We have a house of ice. The Byrd Polar and Climate Research Center maintains a collection of ice cores recovered from glaciers around the world, enabling paleoclimatologists to study the history of the climate and environment. And we have a house of stars. Our planetarium in Smith Laboratory, operated by the Department of Astronomy, takes students and members of the public on digital journeys to planets, stars, and distant galaxies. So take a moment and think about what your own houses look like. Whether it's filled with bones, plants, lasers, languages, fire, stars, ice, or something else. And think also, this is the 150th anniversary of Ohio State. We are at the heart of the university around the Oval, in conversation with other schools and colleges, and actively tackling the intractable problems facing Ohio, the nation, and the world. From these various houses, through these various lenses, we are well situated to collaborate and create something new. Knowing our history and our various starting points, and looking around us at what's here now, what do we see looking ahead? Are there new houses around the Oval? Will there be new pathways between them? Will there be new floors, a new wing, a new center of gravity? Who are our neighbors that we need to visit and spark conversation with? There are great opportunities to us if we choose to seize them. As we imagine that landscape of the future, one area of opportunity is the new general education requirements, which have an anticipated autumn 2021 launch. I know that talk of the GE has brought about impassioned conversations within the college, but this is an opportunity to impact the educational outlooks of all of the undergraduates at the university. The thematic pathways of the GE examine broad areas of contemporary importance through a liberal arts and sciences approach. There is opportunity for every department to see themselves in the themes of the GE if you think creatively and collaboratively about areas of intersection that touch lived environments, health and well-being, sustainability, citizenship, and other areas yet to be elaborated. A centerpiece of the new GE is the one required thematic component, citizenship for a diverse and just world, which builds on a foundation course on racial, ethnic, and gender diversity. Many of our faculty and departments are already thinking creatively and strategically about how they will fit into this transformed undergraduate experience. All of us must embrace this challenge. Several colleagues are on the front lines of this work, including Laura Podolsky, Chair of Spanish and Portuguese, who is serving as co-chair of the Implementation Committee. And several arts and sciences faculty and staff are serving as leaders on that committee and its subcommittees. Another opportunity involves the launch of our new arts district, encompassing areas of campus between 15th and 18th Avenues and featuring new facilities for the School of Music and the Department of Theater, which will also include our moving image production major. This project is about more than a new house for music and a new house for theater. Think of the possibilities we have here. Our visual and performing arts will be clustered together on the east side of the Oval, sparking ideas and conversations. The Arts District will be the new front door to our campus, opening possibilities for our students and faculty around the university, as well as connection points with the broader Columbus community. To give a sense of this energy around the arts, a few weeks ago, we dedicated Modern Head, the 31-foot Roy Lichtenstein sculpture that now adorns our campus. On the same day, we installed 2 brilliant young colleagues as endowed chairs. Carmen Wynant, a visual artist whose collages, installations, and writings have been celebrated around the world, including at the Museum of Modern Art in New York, is our inaugural Roy Lichtenstein Chair of Studio Art. And Jody Patterson, a specialist on art and politics in the mid-20th century, who explores mural painting and the democratization of culture through public art, is our inaugural Roy Lichtenstein Foundation Chair of Art History. This moment opened up conversations around campus in the community. I should also say, in a college as large as ours, and with a faculty of the caliber of ours, we should have more endowed chairs and professorships than we do. Under the umbrella of Ohio State's new campaign that's launching later this week, I'm committed to significantly increasing the number of endowed faculty positions we have here at the college. A third important opportunity is finding the points of intersection of our work. That is, the paths or collaborative spaces between our houses where we can engage in dialogue that results in new creative research and educational partnerships. Under our new Senior Vice President for Research, Morley Stone, there is now greater support and encouragement for this kind of collaborative inquiry within and beyond the college. Many of our colleagues are already leading the way. ACAD, our Advanced Computing Center for the Arts and Design, is designed as a collaborative think space where researchers can make, create, imagine, and connect across emerging art technologies. Among several projects underway, ACAD is collaborating with the Wexner Medical Center to use virtual reality technologies to train first responders in triaging victims of a catastrophic explosion. Our faculty are also pursuing convergence in the classroom to ensure that we deliver to our students the promise of an arts and sciences education. In addition to that interdisciplinary climate change course I mentioned, other team courses are taking hold throughout the college. Genes and Society, presented jointly by molecular genetics and philosophy, exposes students to topics in classical and modern genetics with an emphasis on ethical issues. Another, HIV, from microbiology to macrohistory, brings the departments of microbiology and history together to explore the global and historical expansion of HIV and the virus's evolution at a molecular level. Beyond individual courses like these that shape the undergraduate experience, faculty and departments are developing bold interdisciplinary programs to set us apart. The new integrated major in math and English prepares students with high-level skills in both disciplines, enabling them to communicate effectively, be imaginative, think critically and analytically. Another new interdisciplinary major in philosophy, politics, and economics offers broad and rigorous training in all three disciplines, preparing students for careers in laws, public policy, and more. Sometimes convergence takes place within broad disciplinary areas. Sometimes it happens between them. And sometimes whole new programs or departments emerge from such efforts, as we've seen here with women's gender and sexuality studies, data analytics, and criminal justice studies. Departments are also collaborating to develop certificate programs designed for current students and working professionals alike to pursue topics that will give them a competitive edge. Our first certificate in diversity, equity, and inclusion has launched, and more are on the way, including ones in translation and interpretation, genetics and health, natural history, museum curation, and more. Theme offerings under the new GE, certificate programs, new interdisciplinary majors, new minors, online course offerings, summer programs, 3 or 4+1 programs, community-based outreach efforts, corporate partnerships, and cross-disciplinary research collaboration. All of these efforts, and more that we have yet to think of, have the potential to provide new, appealing educational pathways to our students, increase our impact beyond the university, fulfill our mission as a land-grant institution, and grow our revenue base. I'm excited to see the potential we have in extending the limits of what an arts and sciences endeavor can look like at The Ohio State University. Let me close by sharing a final value that I hold dearly: transparency. From you, I ask for your partnership and your candor. And with that comes a promise from me to be honest and forthright with you. We inhabit a promising but complex landscape at present. We will be much better positioned to navigate this landscape successfully if we approach the issues before us in a spirit of generosity and with a willingness to listen and learn from each other and to experiment together. This is not a terrain I can navigate on my own. We need the talents and orientations of all of our staff and faculty to see the possibilities inherent in this space and to imagine a future that we're excited by and that we're willing to work toward. Over the past 2 months, more than anything else, I've been struck by your kindness and generosity in inviting me into your houses. From my visits, I'm inspired by how genuinely you care about our college, our colleagues, and our students. This is the most important part of our foundation, and you have worked hard to build that sense of community. I'm eager to join you in the work ahead. Thank you for letting me share my thoughts with you today, and I'm happy to take your questions. So we have mics on either side of the stage here, and we are asking folks to use the mics because we're also filming this for folks who couldn't attend today but would like to view this later. And would you mind, when you come to the mic, just saying who you are and your plan?
Sure. I'm Brian Joseph from Linguistics and Slavic East European Languages and Cultures. I applaud you for everything you said. It was wonderful. I agree with just about everything. So that was a great inaugural address for us. What I'm wondering is, in a sense, you were preaching to the choir. I'd be very surprised if there are any folks in the audience who really would take issue with the general substance of what you said. So I wonder how you would envision this selling, as it were, to the upper echelons of the university outside of arts and sciences. If you could talk about that.
Great, thank you for the question. So I think of this as happening in stages. I will work hard, I am doing so now, and will continue to work hard on messaging the value, importance, and possibilities in the college to those outside of the college. But I'm also convinced that we will win people over with momentum. That if we demonstrate energy and enthusiasm and are doing things that people are excited about, that are generating revenue, that are increasing student flows, that are attracting attention in the larger community here, at that point we are much better positioned to sell to the administration that we are a place they should be really focused on and investing in. They are inclined that way now, but there's a lot of competition, as you know, and we need to help them do this more readily. So I think showing that we've got focus, energy, and are moving in a positive direction is one of the things that will make that job a lot easier.
David Weinberg from Astronomy. I had two somewhat related questions about the GE revision. And one is in the design of themes that we go down to a moderate number of themes, then being able to have paths for students with different interests and for all the departments to find a place within that is one of our important challenges. And then another is just the sheer sort of labor of redesigning our curricula, renumbering our courses, reevaluating, and so I wanted your thoughts on both of those challenges.
Thank you. So let me say a couple of things about the GE and themes. So one of the things, of course, that people have noticed is that the new GE model has fewer hours overall than the old GE model. And that's raised concerns for folks. I'm going to suggest a slightly different view on this, and it's this. There's an important difference in the structure of the old GE model and the new GE model. The old GE model was focused at a foundation level. The new GE model has a thinner foundation level on top of which sit themes. It also has bookends, a very beginning course and a very ending, like one credit course. What has been happening is that our students are coming in with credits that are all in that foundation space, right? So those AP credits, those college credit plus courses that they're completing before they get here are fulfilling those requirements in history or literature or various other areas. They're already beginning to hollow out that foundation level. That's not going to stop, right? That's only going to accelerate from everything I can tell. This is a reflection of the state's concern and commitment with helping students to have access to college, to complete more quickly. So that means that we have an opportune moment to focus in the theme areas. The thing that I care about most and that I'm most concerned about in terms of what's happening with our semester credit hours, is that our students, in part because they bring in all these hours, are taking fewer hours each semester. More than 40% of Ohio State undergraduates take fewer than 15 hours a semester. And we know that those students are more clustered in our college. Why do we know this? Because a couple of the other colleges, because of their accreditation requirements, require the students to take more than 15 hours a semester. So pharmacy, engineering, it's much more typically 18 hours a semester. Okay? If we can get our students to take more credits each semester, that will be a huge plus. And it will be a huge plus not just from a revenue perspective, it's a huge plus because it means that their levels of educational engagement are deeper. It's a huge plus because research shows that when students take more hours, they're more academically successful than when they take fewer hours. Okay? So this is a good thing to do. Which brings me back to the themes. So the themes there are currently 4. There's no reason there only needs to be 4. There's an anticipation of 5 or 6 total. They're relatively broad, and it is true, I think, that some of the themes that are there now are intentionally designed to represent some of the offerings of the broader campus. I think that's a good thing. We want our students to be able to take courses on things like sustainability from the broader part of the campus, right? We need them to be thoughtful and engaged citizens about this stuff. But I think we also have opportunities in the other themes that have yet to be developed to put through themes that maybe reflect some of the other real areas of unique strength in this college. The work. I think that in some areas the work will be relatively expedited. The shift from the current foundation to the new foundation is going to be relatively expedited. There's no question that the work of putting together courses for the themes is new work, right? But it's also an opportunity. One of the ways that I'm suggesting people think about this is you can satisfy a theme either with 1 4-credit course or 2 3-credit courses. What if we sort of banded together across some of these areas and designed course pathways that we could articulate and represent to the students that started with those 2 courses, and then if you add 2 more courses, you've got a certificate. Okay? One of the ways I think we encourage students to take more credits is by realizing that this is a credential-hungry generation. And if they can use that pathway and continue on to achieve another credential, that's a great thing. And it also gives students who are concerned about kind of pre-professional orientations, but who love and want to engage in other things, an opportunity to do the pre-professional orientation and satisfy that interest in a way that also adds to their resume. Any comments?
Hi, I'm Roger Beebe from the Department of Art and associated with the Moving Image Production major. Given your kind of short-term budget projection, I'm wondering what you're thinking about the hiring situation. As you know, for the last 3 years, it's been really limited, largely connected to endowments or discovery themes, and there's some demonstrable areas of growth. I'm not talking about replacement, but we're in the new Moving Image Production major, and I know lots of other programs. I mean, we're really struggling to just satisfy student demand, and but the projections that you show at short term don't turn the budget around. So I wonder what you're imagining for hires in the kind of immediate future.
We're going to do better than those short-term projections. We're definitely going to do better than those short-term projections. When I've gone around and talked to faculty and departments, and I ask people, what should I be focused on first? I hear various answers. I hear people say, be transparent, talk about the budget. I hear people say, morale is a big issue. We need to think about and work on that. And I hear people talk about hiring. I am absolutely not going to promise you that we're going to get back to where we were 10 years ago. Right? I am going to promise you that we are going to gain momentum and move forward. We will be hiring. We will probably start at a more modest level, but the goal here is to gain some momentum so we can do more hiring over time. The other thing I will promise you is that we will continue to have a commitment to strengthen excellence across the areas represented in the college. Okay?
Hi, Ms. Burns with Advancement. Just wanted to ask you a little bit about more about the endowed faculty and how we can talk better.
This is a plan.
Yeah. How we can talk a little bit more intelligently to the faculty, linking your vision with our fundraising goals. We've been challenged in the past to double the amount of endowed faculty positions. Is that enough, and what is your vision?
And as I said, and I really mean this, with a faculty this large and this stellar, it's so striking to me that we have so few endowed positions, right? I mean, I see so many folks who are deserving of endowed positions in this college, and I think they're really important. I think they're a critical tool to help recruit faculty. I think they're a critical tool to retain faculty. I also think they're a way of telling the world about the talent we have and about how we value particular areas. So I am definitely interested in significantly increasing the number of endowed positions. I'm not going to say double because, again, I'm not going to make any commitments that I don't feel really certain I can keep. So one of the things that many of you have heard me say again and again is, if you get a commitment from me, you can rely on it. I know that there's been a feeling in recent years in the college that wasn't always the case. So I think building trust means that I'm going to be really careful about the commitments I make. I think we can do well in this space. I don't know if we can double, but it's certainly something we're shooting for. Yes, Peter.
I'm Dana Ringa from French and Italian, and kind of piggybacking on Liz's question, the College of Arts and Sciences seems to have relatively fewer internal recognition programs for faculty. I know that there's a new initiative with tenure and promotion process right now, that just different things that might be put in place in terms of course and smaller internal grants that would then help faculty receive external recognition. And your thoughts on that?
I think it's a great idea. I think, if we're serious about how do we promote creative and collaborative work, we need to think about how to open up spaces for people to do that work, to connect with each other, to develop joint ideas. And I'm going to be looking for ideas about how we might structure small investments that will contribute to those kinds of initiatives.
Ben Givens, Department of Psychology in the University Senate, and you mentioned something about getting beyond the divisional organization, and I was
Yes.
wondering what your thoughts are on that.
You know, I know there's a complicated history here around the 5 colleges coming together. I know that there's a sense of identity and rootedness for many people within their divisions. I know I hear a lot, also a little bit of a sense of competition between the divisions. You know, we're disadvantaged in this way. Yeah, I'm sure none of you know what I'm talking about. I think that gets in our way. I think that gets in our way because it reduces our voice, it reduces our weight, it reduces our creative possibilities for collaboration. It reduces one of the reasons why we should be such an attractive place, both for students and faculty. And the students and the faculty, you know, they're not paying a lot of attention to this divisional view. They love the fact that they can kind of cross over between this. I hear it all the time. I think if we represent that as a key strength for us as a college, that will be helpful both internally and externally. So how do we enact that? I think I'm going to start by seeing what we can do culturally to enact that. Just small things, like if I represent information or data about the various, and this is an idea that came from one of you all, information or data about the department, list them in alphabetical order. Right? Don't listen by division. Right? Look for all the places where we can reduce that sort of siloing just in how we think and talk about this. If you notice when I talked about the range of orientations in the college, originally I wrote that as artistic, human, social scientific, and then I realized, oh, I'm doing it. So I mixed them up. And it felt better to me. So those are some of the things we can do. And then I want to, going back to Dana's question, I want to think about what we can do to increase the possibilities for connection and collaboration across the college. And I completely welcome your suggestions and ideas in that regard.
Very Shank, comparative studies. I'm going to follow up on that question because I think it's really one of the most important ones in front of us. And I appreciate the gesture towards culture and the small things. But I think that the challenges in front of us are going to require some bold action and some like real efforts to undo the history of structural division. And to encourage the kind of cross-disciplinary, innovative curricular development and research projects that I know you would like to see us develop. And that's going to take risk on the part of the people who are volunteering their time, who are saying, okay, I'll make this, I'll see if this can go. And what I'm wondering is if you've thought about ways to perhaps reward risk takers in that area and encourage faculty members to devote some of their very precious and very limited time to partnering with departments that they had previously thought of as competitors, and if you have any thoughts on that.
It is absolutely true that any kind of collaborative or creative work takes risk-taking, right? It takes risk-taking. And, so part of the project I feel here is growing enough trust, enough hope that people are willing to risk take again, right? I certainly see it all the time. It's such a privilege to go around and talk to faculty, and I think, oh, this person in this firm should be talking to this person in this firm, because they're interested in similar questions from different starting points. How do we encourage risk-taking? I think there's a couple of things, beyond trying to think about are there small ways to help support this at a resource level. The other things that I think really matter is recognition, as well as making sure that our promotion guidelines don't punish people for interdisciplinary collaborative work, right? It would be lovely if they recognize it, encourage it, but at a minimum, we need to make sure that they don't punish people, right? And that's, I mean, you own those guidelines, right? So this is work that for you to think about and undertake in your units. So we do one or two more?
I'm Robin Warhol. I'm the chair of the English department. First, I'd like to compliment you on some very beautiful writing. The House of Ice, the House of Bones, the House of Plants, the House of Words. I love that. That's, who did that? That's beautiful. I have a question to ask, partly on behalf of our departmental staff. And this refers to something that came up in the excellence report that Dean Bach-Stettensmeyer commissioned, where they said very eloquently, I thought, that bureaucracy, excessive bureaucracy, is choking the life out of this college. And that, in fact, we've got layers of bureaucracy in this college that are not even attributable to the bureaucratic intensity of the university itself. And I know that just in the 4 years I've been chair, it gets longer and longer and longer to get something as simple as a travel reimbursement approved, because the service center keeps sending it back and back and back, and honestly harassing our staff.
They do it to me too.
Okay, so I think you and not we are in a position to maybe do something about that, and I'd love to hear you talk about it.
Yes. There is no question, and people have heard me say this, that this is one of the most bureaucratic environments I've ever been in. I think there are some reasons for that. I think, you know, you're more vulnerable when you're a public flagship, and so you tend to be more risk averse. And one of the ways to be risk averse is to be bureaucratic. It's also the case that we're a very large institution. I mean, even just the college is huge. And so that tends in the direction of thicker processes, I think. But it's not good for us. It kind of throws a wet blanket over things. And we would be better served if we were a little more risk willing in terms of accountability structures and a little less oriented to triple checking certain things. I don't think anybody is doing this out of any kind of ill will. I think they've been taught and directed that this is the right way to manage the public's resources, if you will. But when you have, as I heard a story recently, someone send back a reimbursement for a dinner for an external guest because the tip amount was 30 cents over what it should have been, that's not helpful to us. It's not helpful to us, among other things, because it's a morale damper for the person it got sent back to, because it is not a good use of the time of either the staff member or the faculty member. It's going to take, I think, some time to see what we can do to move this in a better direction. And a lot of this is not stuff that we necessarily have control over at the college level. But I can tell you that I will do everything I can to champion a less bureaucratic orientation on some of this. Now I'm going to add one other thing as a point of awareness in this, which is you heard me speak briefly to the fact that we've got huge changes coming in our operational structures over this year. We have a complete reorganization of the university's human resources function. We have an adoption of a new enterprise system, Workday, at the university. And we have the implementation of something called the Career Roadmap, which will deal with the classifications of all of our staff. By the way, a lot of this, of course, falls on our HR folks. And so our HR folks, in some ways, are doing kind of triple duty this year. So if you're feeling, you know, like things are a little slowed down, if you're feeling a little frustrated, please stop long enough to understand that they're working super hard and trying to navigate through some big changes. And understand that it's going to take us a little while to get to the other side of some of these changes. But I totally agree with the values, and we'll do what we can to move it in a positive direction. We're going to do one or two more. Yeah.
Hi, Christy Williams, Vice Chair and Professor in the Department of Sociology. One of the findings of the University Senate Faculty Compensation and Benefits Report last year was that there is continues to be a gender gap in pay across the university, and I believe in arts and sciences as well. And I know, I can speak anecdotally at this university, but in higher education as a whole, there's also a gender gap in largely sometimes uncompensated service. And we have a lot of big things that I think your talk has really inspired us to want to do. And so I wonder if you have thoughts about how to navigate those issues.
You're right to raise them. They're important issues. There's work to be done here. And it's the kind of work that if you're not, even if you fix it all at once, if you're not mindful, we know the gaps reproduce, right? It's a long-term effort. I don't have, as you all know, I don't have the resources ongoing in the operational budget to bring all those salaries up at once. We will continue to endeavor to make those adjustments in ways that are more equitable. Our faculty deserve to be treated fairly. And I also think we have to think about what are some of the structures and initiatives that help to reduce the likelihood that these will reproduce. These have to do with hiring practices, these have to do with governance practices, these have to do with having more women, more diverse faculty around the table when decisions are being made.